Welcome to the Crush It in Sales podcast. I'm your host, Melinda Van Fleet. This podcast focuses on the intersection of sales, leadership, and personal development. Now let's get ready to dig in and crush it. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining me. I have really been looking forward to this podcast conversation with professional mentalist and business coach, Jonathan Pritchard. Jonathan has been a professional mentalist for over 15 years. He's traveled the world helping others dream big and transform their lives. He's the founder of Hellstrom Group. He's a published author. His book is Think Like a Mind Reader. He's been on America's Got Talent, and he practices martial arts on a daily basis. So let's get started. Welcome, Jonathan.
Hey, glad to be here.
Awesome. I am really excited. Would you like to just kind of kick off and share a little bit about your background and even what it's like to be a mentalist?
You bet. Basically, I got started doing magic tricks when I was a kid, and the summer of my 13th year on planet Earth, I got paid $200 to do magic tricks at a company's summer picnic. It was kind of an employee appreciation event, and I walked around doing magic tricks for everybody and thought, wait a minute, I can get paid to do this? $200 was great money for a 13-year-old kid. And that's when I became supremely unemployable, is how I like to put it. So that was that was my first quote unquote corporate gig. And from there, I just pursued a life of performing and entertainment. And the flavor of entertaining that I do is called Mentalism, which is basically like it's a magician that has specialized in mind reading tricks. So it's all just applied psychology, showmanship, and having the moxie to pull it off in front of a room full of intelligent adults. So that was kind of how I got started, and that's what's taken me around the world. And eventually it was one of those things of, I'm using the exact same psychological techniques and principles in my personal life as I do on stage in order to make this whole business thing work. And I started reading business psychology books and business strategy books, and every single one that I read, they would talk about the psychology of business. I'm like, wait a minute. Can you stand in front of a room full of 1,000 people and convince them you can read minds? No? Well, then I know psychology better than you do. So that's kind of how I got started into the business coaching angle of it, of bringing my experience of mentalism into the business realm, and then just explaining how I think about things and how the mind works and how people make decisions, and then helping my clients and teams understand how that happens in a sales or a negotiation dynamic. So that's kind of the long and short of it.
Wow. So when it comes to mentalism, if you could just break it down like a little bit, even for me, but definitely for the audience, does that mean like you're really a mind reader, or is it just that you've developed your intuition and then you've built all these skills? And obviously you said you've read a lot of books and practiced. How does that really work?
Right. That is a really sharp question. I don't claim psychic powers. I'm not actually a mind reader. It's that magicians do tricks with objects and things and tigers and playing cards. A mentalist does tricks with information. And one of my mentors and really good friends, Banachek, the way he explains it is, imagine I'm sitting on a park bench with my wife, and a really pretty woman runs by, and I pay attention to her. My wife slaps me. You know what every single person in this situation was thinking, but that doesn't mean you have to be psychic.
Wow.
So it's knowing the context of the situation, each person's motivation and background and context, and being able to synthesize all of that into, okay, I have a reasonable expectation that this is what they're thinking and choosing to do. And when you have seen the exact same situation 1,000 times, you just start to get a feel for how it's going to unfold. So in sales, there are really only 5 objections that you're really going to see every single time. So when you're on a sales call, you can just tell, oh, okay, this is objection number 3, and I have 5 ways I can address this. And then to the client, it seems like you're really witty and on the ball, and wow, he came up with that metaphor really quickly. Boy, he's so smart. No, it's just that I've heard that objection 500 times, and I found 5 different ways to address that concern. And you're giving me objection number 3. This isn't rocket science. It's just applied psychology.
Wow. So would you say that's kind of the secret magic behind it? Like, is that, just really practicing and over time kind of having a bank of, if you're in sales, responses? We can use that example. I like that example.
It is. And the explanation, this isn't going to be very satisfying for you, but it is entirely accurate. This is 100% true and accurate to what you asked. And this is the secret to every magic trick you've ever seen in your life. Every single mind reading trick, this is exactly what's happening, which is the magician or mentalist or agent of action, the person who's designing this whole thing, creates a context for the audience to make logical assumptions that are later shown to not be true. That's every single trick you've ever seen. So the context is what you say, what you do, when you do it, how you do it. Is it in alignment with earlier stated goals and objectives? Is the tone of voice consistent with the meaning and the message of what you're trying to deliver? Everything is the context that communicates the message that helps the listener or the client or the employee, whoever is listening, makes logical assumptions about what it is that they're seeing and hearing from you. And in the context of a magic show, it's delightful when those things don't line up. I thought that box was empty, but boy, howdy, look at that. There's a tiger. Neat. So in a magic show, that's great. But in everyday life, I think this box is empty. Oh, Lord, there's a tiger in there. That's a really bad situation.
Yeah, right.
So the goal outside the context of a magic show is to have such good communication skills that you could fool a room full of 1,000 people, but use those skills to perfectly communicate the truth and set accurate expectations that you then fulfill. And that's also delightful. And that's in the direction you want to be going.
Wow. That is fascinating. I know you've been doing this and working with people for over 15 years, but how long did it take you before you finally felt comfortable in your craft? This isn't just like an easy thing. So
yeah, it's literally something I've been doing for more than 30 years now.
Wow.
And I started when I was 5 or 6. I saw a magician on the Carson show. That's how long ago this was. And from there, I guess I never really let my parents forget about it, because then they bought me a magic kit for Christmas one year. And then I learned all those tricks and bothered them. And it was just the process of learning how to do the simple magic tricks and my parents being saints. Because I'm like, hey, Dad, look, watch. Here's another one. He's like, I've already seen that with Jonathan. I'm like, no, this is totally different. It wasn't totally different, right? So terrorizing my family my whole childhood was how I got started. And it was just one of those things of I would practice by myself for hours and days and weeks, and now sometimes years before anything is seen by the public. And since I've been doing it since I was 6 years old, it's the only thing I know how to do now. And I learned how to juggle fire when I was 13 years old. I learned how to hammer nails up my nose when I was 15. I was eating fire when I was 18. So I'm just used to learning weird stuff and being able to focus my attention for extended periods of time to learn what I want to learn. And then the real trick is being able to kind of interpret that into other contexts where people can learn from it, because that's how I've gotten to travel the world. That's how I've been able to sell my show and promote it since I was 13 years old. So I've been in sales and marketing and promotion for over 20 years. So it's more the challenge of being able to take what I already know from my world and then translate it into business speak or corporate speak. So that was the most challenging part of it. And that took a couple years. But, like anything else, I'm willing to invest a couple years into something if I think it's going to be worth it in the long haul.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. So first of all, you're a testament. If I looked up doing the reps in the dictionary, your face would be there. So thank you for sharing that with the audience, because I think that's one of the biggest challenges out there is people think that everything happens really quick and easy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So thank you for sharing that story, because that's definitely something, even when my husband and I do our podcasts together, we always talk about, so people know that, it takes hard work. And then this is just a question, random. So you don't do the nails in your nose for corporate events, do you?
No, not really anymore.
Okay.
The context where it was the most useful was in the early 2000s when I was still cutting my teeth at open mic nights. I would just go to bars that had open mic nights. And most of the time, people at bars aren't even there to listen to the musicians. They're there to drink and hang out with their friends, and there just happens to be bad music in the background. So how in the world, as a teenager or early 20s kid, are you going to get the attention of everybody in the bar without just being like, hey, guys, hey, everybody, look at me. Come on, everybody. You're supposed to pay attention to me. So instead of doing that, I would use an empty glass bottle and a nail and then just start hammering the nail up my nose with the glass bottle right by the microphone. And it makes such a weird sound. They're being like, what is that? So now they're looking around for the source of the sound, and then they see me on stage doing something, and they can't really quite make out what it is, but they now know, okay, let me watch what's happening here. Now I have their attention.
Yeah.
And then I would pull the nail out of my face, and that would be enough for people going, I don't know what this kid's deal is, but I want to watch it. And now I'm in.
Yeah.
Usually now I have the CEO of the company saying, hey, everybody, I need your attention, please. I've specifically brought Jonathan in as our guest, so please give him our attention. And that's a much easier introduction.
Yes, I'd say so. But kudos to you for finding a way to cut through, because you're right. Yeah, everyone's just focused on having their beers and doing their shots and sitting chatting with their friends. Wow. That's cool. And great example. I love it. So I have to ask you, what's it like being on America's Got Talent? Because I watched the show and I've probably watched your episodes because I've watched it since the beginning. Gosh, even with David Hasselhoff. So what was it like?
It was exhausting. Really is what it is. And it was very, very educational to see how the show is created, because it is a lifetime's worth of experience that I need to be able to do what I do to get on the show. But I don't have a lifetime's worth of experience of making television, and trying to figure out the best way to fit your skill set into a new context is challenging. And I could talk your ear off for hours about all the things I learned from it. But the basics is that you have to be able to control your emotions through the whole thing. Because if you get freaked out that, oh my God, this is the moment, this is my big chance, this is my one shot. Well, no, the production assistant is just moving you from this one holding room into another holding room. So your emotional spike would happen every time a production assistant with the headset would walk up and be like, "Are you Jonathan?" I'm like, "Yeah." It's like, "All right, come with me." And then you just go, "Oh, we're doing the thing. We're doing the thing." Oh, nope. Just go into another holding room. And you're doing that for 8 hours before you ever even step out on stage. Now you're exhausted.
Oh, wow.
So if you let your emotions run away with you because you're in a high stakes dynamic, you're going to be undermining your ability to succeed. So emotional control is really important in a high stakes negotiation or situation or opportunity or challenge, whatever you want to call it. Being able to have the wherewithal and the presence of mind to not be jerked around by your emotions is really, really important. The other thing is that it's television. Everything within the boundaries of the edges of your screen is a lie, just like a magic show. Because I went out, I actually was on stage. I actually performed in front of Howard Stern and Heidi Klum and Mel B and Howie. And Howie was the only judge to say no. I still like him, even though he said no to me. So I got 3 out of 4 yeses, which means I get into the next round. The producers who were producing the event never called me back. So not every single person that is technically allowed through to the next round makes it to the next round. So they are obeying the rules that they've set up for themselves, but you as the viewer aren't seeing the whole context of what's going on. And we're right back to magic tricks. There are logical assumptions you make about the context you're engaging with, but that context is specifically created by the makers of the show so that you make those assumptions and have those beliefs about what it is that you're watching.
Wow. I've heard things like that, similar, not exactly the same in regard to Shark Tank. So that's amazing.
Yeah, 'cause I mean, every
Wow.
like it's a screen. That's not a real person in your television. Like that sounds really silly to say, but that's the level of reality of television. None of it is real. Those aren't real people. They're not actually 3 inches tall. Nothing that happens after the filming or taping or videoing, the recording of that experience, that's now a totally different context than the in-person performance.
Mm-hmm. Wow. Would you ever try for a show like that again, or was that crushing to you?
Oh, no. That's what you sign up for in this world. Like as a performer, you get so used to all of that stuff. Just if that bothers you, good luck in the entertainment world. You're not gonna be around for long if that really bothers you.
Yeah. But I would imagine, especially if it was a kid, you know what I mean? Like, I'm just thinking like, wow.
Oh yeah. And that's really what breaks my heart, which is somebody from Nowheresville saying, "Oh, I've spent my whole life. This is my one chance at success," and pinning their whole future on this one outcome that is not in their hands. Mm-hmm. And they're staking their future on 4 strangers approving of them. That is the epitome of the external locus of control and a recipe for crazy making. And that is a nightmare that I never wish on anybody. but is the most common way that people think you get quote unquote successful in the performing context. Mm-hmm. Being a successful performer means that you spend 10, 15, 20 years grinding it out so that nobody knows who you are. And then you die as an unknown person, but you at least spent your life creating fun and pursuing your own curiosity and interest. That's a win, not the approval of strangers.
Yeah. Yeah. You could probably really coach on that, by the way. So
that's a big part of it, right? Just helping people navigate high stress, high stakes environments, no matter what that looks like for them, whether it is that big recital or running a marathon or going in for $1 million negotiation. It's all the same mental and emotional and physical responses that you have to manage. And that is a big part of what I help kind of top performers do, is not psych themselves out in the big moment.
Yeah. Yeah. Because then if there is disappointment, then they get stuck and they can't move forward. So it's pretty compelling. So tell me a little bit about martial arts. I used to work at a Taekwondo studio when I was 12, and that's all I know. So.
No, that's awesome. That's great. Well, for me, martial arts created. Okay, let me back up. So to me, there's this thing called physics that governs all of physical reality. Momentum, mass, energy can neither be created nor destroyed, only transferred, that whole thing. So there are universal physical properties that apply no matter where you are. It could be Jupiter or some other galaxy, and gravity, mass, momentum are still a thing. That's why they're universal principles. Okay. So now the human body pattern is essentially the same. You got usually 2 arms, 2 legs, center line, symmetry, the whole 9 yards. There are local variations. My forearm might be a little longer than yours or shorter or whatever, but the pattern is essentially the same. So that means that there are better and worse strategies for aligning your body with the fundamental forces of nature, gravity, momentum, that kind of thing. Mm-hmm. So you need to learn how to align your body with those physics first before you can learn to manage somebody else applying their momentum to your body and structure. So that is where the personal development starts, is learning to manage and control the most fundamental layer of reality. Because I don't care what you think, I don't care how you feel, I don't care what you believe, none of that is going to matter when there's a fist coming at your face. So what are you going to do in the physical layer to deal with what is actually happening, not what you want to happen, what you believe is happening, or what you would prefer to happen? Nope, this is what's happening. So it forces you to be able to perceive reality in real time instead of only responding to what you think you want. Because the moment I start thinking about, boy, I wish you weren't punching me in the face, boom, you land a good one, and I learned from it. Mm-hmm. So it is bedrock physics. And once you start learning to manage at that level, the process of dealing with your emotions to maintain presence of mind in that high pressure situation now gives you the template to manage your emotions, your mindset, the whole 9 yards of the more abstract layers apart from just the physical layer. So that's why if you can't control the physical layer, it's going to be even more difficult to have the presence of mind to control your breath, to control your decisions, your emotional response, and ultimately at kind of the most abstract level would be a way of saying just controlling your energy. That's why if there are people talking about energy work or emotional control and they don't have the ability to control the physics, they're building an expertise on a no foundation, right? Like if you lack that physical foundation, what is all the other stuff resting on? So that's why, to me, martial arts is where you got to start to be able to not be your own worst enemy and to create situations and problems for yourself because you don't know how to manage it.
Wow. I think you just blew me away. So yeah, they don't talk about that on Karate Kid and Cobra Kai. So, but
no,
that's very cool. And I'm kind of assimilating it. I don't know if you've seen this show. I think it's on Stars. It's called P-Valley. It was on over the summer. Anyhow, it's a story about a strip club in Mississippi. And one of the lines, and I happened to catch on to it because it was so fascinating to me. One of the pole dancers was saying to the other one, "Oh, I'm not as strong as you. I can't do that." And she was like, "It has nothing to do with strength. It's all physics." And I just thought that was fascinating. So
that's it.
There's some assimilation there. It could be
a
little different. But
I don't have as much. Yeah, I don't have as much experience with pole dancing as you might think. But the way that I relate to that is in the late 1800s, there was a type of entertainment called vaudeville that was before there were movies. There were touring entertainers that you would go to the theater and there's just a nonstop running show, and that was vaudeville. And they were the premier circuits. If you were a high profile performer, you would perform at the good circuits and you just traveled the country nonstop doing your thing. And one of the headliners, one of the most famous vaudeville performers, she went by the name of the Georgia Magnet, and her name is Lulu Hurst. And she was very, very small woman. And her whole act was that she couldn't be moved. These big, strong, burly dudes all over the country, that was her whole shtick, was try to move me. And they couldn't do it. They couldn't pick her up. They couldn't push her over. She would be like, all right, I'm just going to stand here. Good luck. And nobody could move her. And it wasn't because she was bigger than other people. It wasn't because she was stronger. She just understood the physics of leverage and momentum and could put the guy in a disadvantaged position where he didn't have leverage, but he felt like he would be able to do the thing. And it was just because she had the knowledge, skill, and technique from understanding the base physics of the interaction. So you don't need to be biggest. You don't need to be the strongest. The person who understands and has used that understanding to cultivate a skill set, that's the person that's going to win. So you can't confuse understanding with ability. You can't confuse understanding with skills. You have to apply time, effort over through time in order to cultivate the competence. And that's really where the difference comes in. So many people think, oh, yeah, I have everything I need to be successful. I understand how this works. Okay, show me. Show me you know how this works. Do it. Show me the technique. Apply it to me. I'll be a willing participant. I want you to apply this technique. And they can't pull it off. It's because they've only seen a video. They've only read the book. They haven't applied it. They haven't done the work to build the skills that you can only build if you focus for years to cultivate it.
Yeah. Wow. That's a very cool story. And I think my husband's going to really like listening to this podcast too, because he's kind of like the Yoda of fishing. So it kind of all makes sense.
I love it.
That's very cool. Thank you. Before we wrap up, can you tell us a little bit about your book? You explained to me why it's not an Audible. So I think it'd be really cool if you share, because your book sounds very unique. And I'd like to hear a little bit more about it too.
Well, thank you. Yeah, the whole book was written because as I was touring the world and doing the mind reading shows, and this was kind of before I transitioned into the corporate consulting and speaking, I'd have the autograph line, and then people would just come up and ask me questions. Hey, what about this? How do you think about this? And that to me started to get to be even more fun than doing the show, is talking to people afterwards. And then over the years, I began to realize that it was essentially the same 20 topics kept coming up. Confidence, skill set, relationships, negotiations, the same concerns kept coming up. And then a couple years later, I get emails from people saying, hey, I don't know if you remember me, but we talked for 20 minutes after the show, and it blew my mind, and here's why my life is different and better and awesome because of you talking to me. So I just wanted to say thank you. It's like, oh man, this stuff actually is useful. Okay, that's neat. So the decision was, how do I get this out to as many people as possible without them having to have the chance of me coming through their town? So writing the book was the logical choice. So it's basically 15, 20 years of life and business lessons learned from a mind reader that has applied them on and off stage in all sorts of countries, all sorts of contexts and experiences that are based on fundamental human psychology, which means that these principles apply no matter where it is that you grew up. So I poured everything into those 260 pages, and anything you want to know about how your mind works or how this stuff applies to your situation, it's in the book. And also, I built a mind reading trick into the pages of the book. So you can use the book as a prop to read your friends' minds and fool them is really it. So the trick teaches you how to be a better communicator, because you realize that you have to do the right thing at the right time. You have to say the right thing at the right time, and you got to do both of those things the right way if you want the magic trick to be successful. And that is the secret of becoming a better communicator and being able to help people understand what it is you're trying to communicate. Because a good magic trick isn't you just saying some stuff. It's you creating an experience for your audience. So there's a lot that goes into it, and my book would be a great place to start with it.
Wow, that is so cool. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. Before we wrap up, is there anything else you'd like to share with the audience? I have learned so much. I always believe the universe brings breadcrumbs, and I came across your name, and I just was like, I really wanted to chat with you. So I'm so glad that you were on this podcast and shared all you had. But if there's anything else you'd like to share with the audience, please feel free. And then obviously how they can get hold of you.
Yeah, I really appreciate the opportunity you've given me to share my thoughts with everybody. And hello, you listening out there in podcast land. Thanks for your time and attention too. I don't really have any parting words of wisdom other than do the work. That's pretty much it.
Big one. Yeah.
That's what separates the understanding from the doing is just doing the work. Yeah. If you want to connect, and I sincerely hope that you do, I guess the best way would be to go to my website, which is jonathanpritchard.me. There's so many ways that you could misspell that. I'm looking for a better URL. But for now, that is my hub. From there, you can get connected to my corporate consulting and speaking and all that stuff. I also do an occasional mind reading show over Zoom, so you can check that out. That's gameofimagination.com. So you can find dates and tickets there if you want to experience the stuff in real time. So yeah, I just have so many projects so many irons in the fire that there's got to be one thing that you'll find and vibe with.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I will put all of this in the show notes, including the book. And I know I'm getting it today. So yay, I'm ordering it today.
Well, thank you very much.
I want to
appreciate
find
that.
all these skills. This has been an amazing conversation. I just really appreciate you and your time and all that you shared with the audience. Thank you so much.
Honor's all mine. Thank you.